Hi everyone, and let me just click on my PowerPoint. There we go. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Witch Doctor's Guide to ServiceNow, episode number 21. It's been a while, and sadly the new job at ServiceNow takes a little bit of time to get used to all the stuff, but hopefully the videos will start coming a little bit more often than it has done the last 2 months. Anyway, number 21 is here. We're going to talk about update sets, and if you have followed me on LinkedIn or Twitter, you might seen that I ran into one of the classic stuff earlier this week of saving a lot of stuff in the default update set and not realizing that until 2 days later. Anyway, let's continue down the PowerPoints. We can skip those later. So my name is Goran Lundqvist, aka the Witch Doctor. Hopefully you've seen a couple of my videos before, so I don't need to go through all of this. I've been working everything from customer ServiceNow to partner, and now I'm working at ServiceNow as a developer internally for ServiceNow. Got my contact details to the bottom left if you would like to catch up and follow me or talk about stuff. Love playing around with the community as much as I can, helping out and do videos and blog posts like this. Also, I wrote a book trying to put down the knowledge I have called The Witch Doctor's Guide to ServiceNow. If you haven't bought it or seen it, please go to Amazon, just search for ServiceNow and you will see it. Here's just a couple of the bullet points that I will talk to you, and hopefully it will help you in your journey and not do the same mistakes I have done. So today we're going to talk quickly about how updates works. We're going to talk about how you can actually use batch and do parent-childs and the benefits of that. And of course, how do we actually move update sets between different sets? Kind of a risky business, but you're doing it on your own risk, of course, but sometimes you need to do it like I did. And then when doing that, I'm going to show you a good way of using merge update sets to handle this. So let's go away from the PowerPoint and let's dig into the instance. I'm just going to turn that one off, and just another second. Got too many screens, I guess, or too big screens. So here we go. Update sets. For those who doesn't know it, it might be new to ServiceNow. I tend to keep them up here, both the update set and the application. If you don't have that, quickly just click on the cogwheel and use these to actually do it. You can see them disappearing, showing when I'm doing it here. Otherwise, you can of course use it here as well. So update sets, mostly the configuration stuff you do are going to be saved in update sets. So let's take a look at the default one. You will always have a default one that is in progress, and this is an update set that you won't be moving just when you play around and stuff like that. And here you can see, if I scroll down, you see I have done quite a few things just testing around, and they are being saved here since I'm just playing around. All these records are basically saved in a table called sys underlined update underlined XML. So if I hit that list, I will get to that table. I can of course also just right click, open new window, and I will get to that table as well. Might be good to know as well. And as you can see, if I go back, you have when it's been created, what kind of type the record is, the specific name, who's updated it, and is it an insert or delete or update, or if I scroll down, of course not. Let's filter out those ones, or is it a delete action? And let's try it and just show you how it works. So let's go create a new update set, and I'll just do let's rename this one to something else. Let's call it episode 21, first update set. So basically, I'll go with the user criteria for fun. I'll just go in and create a new criteria. Let's call it the episode 21 test. I don't know. And I'll submit that one. So now I have created this one. If I go into the update set, you can see that here is all the information about that record. If I click on it, you can actually see the whole payload, what it actually said. Now, if I go in and, for example, change the name, or perhaps let's change the name and let's add a user, hit update. Now, when I go to the update set, you can see there's only one record still, because what it has done, it has updated this file or this record. So it actually has the new. So if you keep updating stuff in the same record, it will only be one update in the update set, which later on can end up having difficulties if you are using defaults like I did sometimes, and you have suddenly two rows with the same record. And we'll go into that soon. Before we do that, let's talk about the parent-child. Sometimes you have, perhaps working with a story, that you need to do both a global update set and to have, for example, a scoped application set for that story to fix. And when you then later on try to apply it, you probably can get some preview errors, because it will say that, oh, we can't find this record, but we have found it in an uncommitted update set. So if your scoped application is actually needing files that you created in your global application, you will get some preview errors. If you do the parent-child batching, you won't do that, because it will keep that for you. And I can't really move it for you, but I can show you how to set it up. So basically, I will go in like this. Let's go into our update sets. Let's say I'm going to work in the community scope. And this is where I mainly work. So I want to create my parent here. So I basically just do like this. Oops. Story like that, and I'll call that, I don't know, build cool stuff. And I'll normally use like this, parent. Or I do batch parent even. Then I will just keep this empty. I will want to have this just as a placeholder to connect all the different childs. So I'll create that one. And then I will create a new one called child, remove number 2, and at the parent I will put in that one. So I'll submit that one and make that one the current one. When I'm doing stuff, it will end up here. And then if I want to have one in global, and this is the cool stuff, you can have parent-child relations between the different scopes as well. So I'll go in here and I'll just I don't remember story 3425 build doesn't really matter, build cool stuff batch child. The more is this, so we can connect it to the correct parent. And then I'll make that one as well. Now we can start build. When we're done, we'll go to the parent one. And then when you complete this one, it will set all the childs as complete as well. And that's just some information. You actually need to save it as well. And now you can see down here we have the two childs. Now when we will load this to our test environment, it will look at the previous. You won't get any errors of the uncommitted changes and stuff like that, and you only need to hit commit once. You don't need to go through all the different child sets and hit commit one by one by one, which is a really nice thing to do. Another thing I would like to talk about when it comes to the state of the update sets, I would recommend, especially when you're multiple developers, if you have hit complete on an update set and saved it, never reopen it if you're, oh, I forgot this one, and then you reopen it and should do some more changes and save that one. Because what could happen is that you hit complete. Your fellow developer will go into your test instance and retrieve all completed update sets. Then it will retrieve your update set as well. Then you will reopen it, do your changes, and hit complete. Then when you go to test and hit retrieve, it will not fetch the new one, because it will look at this list and say, oh, I already have this update set. It doesn't really care that it's been updated later on and so on. So you won't get your new changes. And if you're not paying attention, you think you'll fetch the new one, you commit it, and then suddenly things will not work in test, and you might not understand why. So, rule of thumb, never go back, just make a new update set, patch 1 or something like that, and just pull in update sets in that one instead. Now, to show you the issue I had, I was building stuff mainly in Flow Designer, and what I accidentally did is I was going to test my flows, and since it was created stuff that ended up in an update set, I didn't want that to be saved, of course, in my update set. So I switched over to default before testing. And then I forgot about switching back, because my excuse is when you're using Flow Designer, and it happens before as well, you might think about something else and you just whoop, and it's gone. But up here, I just paid attention that I was in the right application. If this one can load, I guess. There you go. I was only looking here. I didn't realize that actually the update set said default. So I was working, building stuff for 2 days, and then by accident I was doing a fix script and then looking down at the versions down here, seeing that it ended up in the default update sets, and then I realized. So let's go to my episode 1. Looking at my episode 1 update set, you can see that this is my user criteria. And this is what I did. I had an update set with full of flow actions. If you have done flows, you know that they create a lot of rows in the update set as well. So I went into the default, and let's find my user criteria again. So now I do some more changes and hit save. So what happens now is in the default update set, if I click on that one, you have one row, and if I look about that specific record, and if I look at my other update set, the one I want to move, you can see I have also a row, and you can see this is the older one because it has the bad target name. So there are 2 ways of handling this. Normally, if I notice this directly, and if this would be a new record, meaning that I didn't have any updates in my correct update set, I would basically just do like this. And remember, playing around with this, it's on your own risks. You might destroy a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's just easier to go back to records, do some changes that doesn't really matter, and so they're being saved to the correct update set. I mean, in my case, I could just go like this, switch over, hit my record again, not that one, this one, remove that letter, hit save, add it again because of course I want it to be there, save again, and then I would have the latest version as well. What else you can do? You can actually do like this. I'll go to the default, click on the update, and change which update set does this actually belong to. And it was I need to check episode 21. It was that update set. If I hit update now, I'm back at the default, and you can see it's gone from here, and it will be in my update set. And yay, I'm done, right? No, because basically now we have 2 rows of the update, and they are, even if they have different target names, they're pointing at the same sysid. And I never really tried to commit an update set to this, but it's not good. So what I would recommend instead is use the merge. And to show you, let's move this one back to the default. So this is the newer version we're moving back. So now we have the first version. If you realize that you have done this, what we recommend doing is create a new update set. I'll go in here, create a new one, and merged from default. Always call it from that. So this is totally empty. Then, and it was even the wrong episode number. I need to change that one. Episode 21 from default. Now, what I do is I go into the default. Then I find all the stuff I really need, and I move them into that one. Episode. Did I misspell that one? Discard. Episode first from the. Did I just miss that one? There we go, from default. And move that one over. So let's take a look what we got. And then of course if I have more, I would move everything over that I want. So now we have 2. We have from episode. I have from default, which is the records that I want to catch. And here you can see this is the newer version. And then I have my first update set, which has the old one. And merge is good because what you can do is you merge multiple update sets into one update set. And what it does, it looks at each file and just take the newest version of it. So in this case, we want it to take this one. So let's try. Let's go to merge. And we call this one episode 21 merge update set. And I noticed something strange. Let's just hit. Episode 21. That is my filter. These are the 2. I was looking at the merge button and I thought it ended up here as well, but it didn't. So we filter out which update sets do you want to merge. These are the 2. I'll hit merge. Yes. And boom, quite quick since I didn't have so many. So let's take a look at the merged update set. You can see we have only one. We have the new one. And what's really good is what it does is that if I look at this one, you can see it's empty because it took that one and moved over. And if I look at the other one, that one is still there. So the files or the rows that are still left in the 2 update sets, or how many you're merging, the files that are left in those ones are the ones that hasn't been merged into the new one. And the only possibility is because there was a newer version of that record in some of the other files. So it's good to go through and you can see what actually is left to do. And then of course I would just put this one as ignore because we don't want to move these ones. We only want to move, of course, the merged update set. And this one I'm also just hitting ignore. There we go. So this one will be the one that we merged. Just looking at my list, I think that's pretty much about it. If you have any other questions about the update set, just post them on the chat below in the YouTube channel, and I'll try to get back to you. Besides that, have a good weekend and a great Sunday. See you around.